Alrighty viewers, we are back in action, this time with an Audi. I'm excited to bring you an Audi, the first one for me on the channel. Let's check out the e-tron 55. So, let me start you off with some facts about the e-tron. It is the EV only lineup for Audi, and they were probably a little bit slow to the market to bring this out. Now that's not a bad thing, just means that they were probably focusing on the refinement, and let me tell you, this is a well polished EV. So let's get into it. Let's start with the performance this time, shall we? 265 kilowatts, 300 kilowatts with boost mode in its Audi dynamic sports mode. Now that makes for 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds, which is no slouch. And don't forget, this is just the entry-level model, so they've done a great job of performance. On top of that, you're not without a bunch of features, because you have raising and lowering suspension, as well as it stiffens and softens at the same time. Now your drive modes are aplenty. This car can do a little bit of everything. You've got off-road, all-road, efficiency, comfort, auto, dynamic, and individual. My goodness. Alrighty, so that's the drive modes done. Is it quick? Let me tell you, it's quick. How does it brake? It has massive brakes on it, and they do a great job. But the party piece of this car for me is the adaptive cruise system. It is the most refined EV system I have driven, and I've driven a few EVs now. Now what I mean by that is, you would have probably, if you're test driving EVs at the moment, you would have realized that when you drive them, there's a little bit of an adjustment. You have to adjust how you drive to drive an EV, and then you kind of have to adjust back into a normal car in terms of the curve system and it braking for you with its regenerative abilities. Audi has done a great job of making this thing aware of its situation on the road, and what that means is there's no adjustment period, right? There's no adjusting from one car to the other with this. It feels like every other car. The curve system really tries not to be intrusive in that manner, and it does a great job of it. I'm very impressed. Doesn't affect anything like the automatic cruise control. Everything works unreal. So well done, Audi. On top of that, if that wasn't good enough, they've actually done a great job as well of the weight of this car. Now it is still a heavy car, it's an EV, it's going to have some weight to it, but with all of the adjustable suspension features, you can feel the weight of this car in a corner, but it doesn't really feel in your way. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to be taking it to a track day anytime soon, but it's nice for you to have a little spirited fun on a weekend or a drive to the shops. It really does feel that little bit sporty, which is really nice. I'm quite impressed at how they've managed to get that on board here. A lot of the other EVs, they just don't feel like you could do that. Now when I say you can do that, what else do we have to consider? Efficiency. So based on efficiency, when I pick this car up with full charge, I have 350 kilometers of range. Now it's a little bit under what it's rated for with the WLTP life cycle, but that's okay. 350 Ks is no small distance. I've had no issues with my daily grind, okay? I've gone to work, to the gym, little walk in the afternoon, and I go home and charge it, and all is good. If you're doing a long range drive, there is a range mode that you can turn on, which will get you a little bit more distance and turn off a few of the sporty features like boost mode. Now by doing that, you should be able to get into the 400s, hopefully. I haven't had a chance to test it right out, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. They really have done a great job of getting this to work as an EV. Now, let's check out how the back seats are in the boot. The Audi e-tron has 615 litres of boot space, and there's a bunch of ways to conveniently access it. You've got a button on the driver's door. You can also just walk up, roll your foot, and it'll open for you. You've got a double tap on the key fob, and you've also got a close the boot option up here, as well as a close and lock button up here. Now, with your space, plenty of room in here for anything. Definitely could go camping in this car with not too many issues. This part of the parcel shelf just pulls out if you need it to. I do like how it's split in two. That is a very nifty idea. So there's not anything hanging or dangling in there. It's good. Once you pull that out, rear seats can fold flat. You have nice netted bins on the side, and you have an extra little bit of space under here. You could easily fit most charge cables, or you could just open it up for some extra space if you're going camping, things like that. Space saver wheel is in here as well. Alrighty, one thing I will say is the foot swipe is a little bit sensitive. So I did find when I was washing this at the car wash, it decided it wanted me to hose out the boot, so be careful of that. In the back of the e-tron, we have plenty of room. My legs comfortable, plenty of space for someone bigger, lots of headroom. We even have a nice little bit of the sunroof. You've got your air conditioning vents in the middle, spot for your phone, as well as 2 charging ports underneath, USB-C and a 12 volt. There's plenty of room per seat in the back here as well, and the middle seat also has this really funky drinks holder and a storage compartment in the center. And if that's not enough, you can also pull this and you have full access to the boot from here. Very nifty indeed. Plenty of room. Now that we've checked out the back and the boot, let's check out the onboard infotainment and driver assist, your gauge cluster and things like that. Alrighty, the infotainment in the e-tron. I found this really quick to respond, especially when you're using the actual Audi features, such as going into the car settings, drive mode select, in back car details, checking out your range, AC, all those kinds of things. It's nice and quick, easy interface. I like the clicking. It actually tells you when you've clicked something. I found wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to be really quick. Connects just fine, and everything's nice and easy. We'll jump back into there. Now we'll go down to the second screen. This is all for our air conditioner settings, and while it's touchscreen for most of the aircon settings, it actually works really well. And the main reason being, our gear selector is actually an armrest, and that makes it actually is a really comfy position while you're driving, and everything's easy to get to. You can reach everything here when you want to. Turn our heated seat back off. If we need to, we can go down, turn everything up. We can hear those clicks. Fan settings, we've got a hill descent. We can actually turn off the screen above just to make it a little bit darker in here on a long drive. We got our drive select buttons, traction control, and our defrost. I did find the rear defrost to be a little bit laughable. Does not work very well. Now, our camera button for when we're parking, it actually has a great 360 camera system. They all work really well, and it does show the lines of your steering as you go, and it will actually even beep if your projected line of steering is running into something, which I thought was a really well sorted idea, and it works really well. You also even have a 360 mode. If you're just unsure if you're about to hit something, you hit 360 and you can spin it around. How cool is that? I think this is a great parking system. I don't think you need anything else. I don't think you need it to park yourself. You can do whatever you need with that kind of camera setup. Alrighty, moving down further, this is our sensor button, which we can have driver assist maximum, individual, or basic. I quite like the basic. Maximum just beeped a little bit too much and lots of flashiness when you got blind spots and things. Basic is fine. We've got our start stop button, our gear selector here, which is also part of the rest. So we're in neutral. We can go into reverse, as you can see there. We've got the lines now, and as we turn, it shows us. Now then we can go back, we can go into drive. And then we've got our park button. And then when you want to get into park, there's actually a button on the side and everything's parked. Moving further into the middle, we have our wireless charging bay here, which actually has a little clip. You can hear that there. So you actually slide your phone down, the clip keeps it in place, which allows it to wirelessly charge on the side like that. And even if you're driving aggressively, it doesn't move out of place, so it should stay charging. Nifty idea. I do find it sometimes a little bit funny to deal with one-handed. You're kind of better off using two, but other than that, it's great. On this side, we have our drink holders. Now, the drink holders actually fold away if you need a bit more room, and you've got a 12-volt there as well. I do find this really nice, and you don't really care that you don't have a high-up lid. You don't need it because your arm stays nice and comfy. Now, under here, we've got our two USB-Cs there. There's actually a little hole here that goes through into the center glove box so that you can put your phone in there and actually have your headphones or anything else charging in here out of the way. And this also doubles as an adjustable rest if you got a taller arm and things like that, which is rather handy. Overall, really well thought out interior setup in terms of comfort, where your hand positions are, how you can reach everything from that position. It is a really comfy and premium place to be, and they've done a great job of the ergonomics in here. It is fantastic. Looking at our nice Audi steering wheel here for the e-tron, we've got a lot of nicely laid out buttons here with scrolls that work as buttons as well. It's really easy to use, everything makes sense and is easy to select here. You got all your cruise control down here, as well as a speed limiter button as well. The cruise control works really well. Now, moving into here, we have our display here, and what we've got is nav, our distance and kilometers used, as well as power, what music we got on, and our phone connection as well. Now, I personally just really like having the nav in the middle. You can see there's little icons as you drive. They show you all sorts of things from fuel stops, servos, power stops, to food, shopping, all those kinds of things. They just pop up as you go. It's really handy. You can see we have our power dial on the left, which goes to 100% plus the little bit of boost when you're in sports mode, and our charge there as well. I do want to say here again that the adaptive curves on this car is one of the best in class. It is really, really intuitive, and I really loved it. This is the most refined EV I've driven so far. It's really done well. We've got our speed on the right and a couple other settings in the middle at the bottom, and we've got a nice heads-up display which, when you're using the nav, also shows you which lane to be in and the street name, which is super handy. Love it how all the German cars have that. Well done, guys. We've seen here that this car offers plenty in terms of performance and plenty in terms of technology. There's a lot of driver aids that we can turn on and off. There's a lot of customization. Ergonomically in here, it's a really comfy place to be, and there is plenty of room in here as a person. It'll fit everyone, and you can adjust it to be nice and high or down low. There's lots to change and to make your own in here. We've seen that it's a great all-rounder in terms of there's enough room to go camping. We've got a little bit of off-road functionality for some light off-roading or a camping trip off the beaten track. We've seen that 350 Ks is enough to do the weekly drive pretty easily. We can definitely charge up at home. Now, I did find at home it was a little bit less in terms of kilometers compared to a few of the cheaper EVs in terms of how much I got back into the car, but it was not really an issue for me. I don't do that much driving during the week. I still go to gym, work, nice walk in the afternoon, might take my dog for a walk, so there's still plenty going on. But your daily drive, it was pretty easy to manage. Now, I was getting between 50 and 70 kilometers a night being plugged into a normal power point. So when you work that out, if you have one long day at the end of the week where you can charge it up, or if you go to the shops once a week and use a fast charger, you're always going to have plenty of juice week to week. So there's no real issues there. Now, what else did I like about this car? I liked the all-round ability, I liked the comfort, and I especially liked the KERS system on board. I thought it was phenomenal and one of the best that I've driven yet. So what didn't I like? Well, I didn't really like the price. That was kind of it, really. Now, don't get me wrong, it's an Audi. They're a premium car and it's going to be worth a premium figure. But it is a little over 160,000, and that is a lot. So by all means, if you have the means for this car, you are going to love it, especially if you want an EV. But If you don't, then will you want to push the budget that far? You do lose some of the EV incentives being such an expensive car, and you do have to pay a substantial amount of luxury car tax as well. So this is a car that you're only really going to look at if you really want it. But I think if you like the look of it, you are going to love the drive of it. That's what I can say. I think it looks nice. It does have a really nice SUV-like sports look, and I do find when you take a photo from the right angle, it looks kind of like a sporty sedan. It has this weird thing about it where from the right angles it looks like that, and from another angle it looks like an SUV. It's interesting in that regard. I think it is a good looking car, and I think as an EV, an all-rounder makes a lot of sense, because that's going to be what they're good for. You're not going to have it as your weekend fun car, you're going to have it as your daily drive, and a daily drive should be able to do as many things as possible. Really just does not feel in your way at all. You can tell it's there, it's not silent, but it's just not in your way in any sense. The car really brakes so well, has a nice turn in still for an EV, and it's got plenty of punch out of a corner. So, on that note, I would like to say thank you to Exhaust Notes. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Audi. I do love this car and I do rate it. I do think that if it appeals to you, I highly recommend you go check it out, because if you already like the look of it and the sound of it on paper, I don't think there's anything that's going to let you down on it, realistically. And I look forward to seeing what Audi we get next. Thank you all. Please send any comments through that you want answered on the car. If I missed anything, send them through and I'll try and get back to you. And please subscribe if you like what you see. Hit that like button too. See you guys on the next one.